I have the new updated best Fortnite settings in the new Marvel season. These settings are perfect to dominate ranked, have the smoothest mechanics, and have the best aim. So with this new Fortnite Marvel season, keyboard and mouse is going to be really useful and important to succeeding this season. So like most of you, I've always been a controller player. So when I first decided to switch over to keyboard and mouse, I had no idea what mouse to use. So I looked at what other people were using for their mouse until I found the perfect one. And finally, I decided on getting the Logitech G Pro Superlight, and ever since I've gotten it, I have never regretted it because it is by far the best mouse to use in Fortnite. And the reason it's the best mouse is because it's super light and the easiest mouse to glide across your mouse pad. Now with a mouse, you also need a good DPI, and many people don't know what DPI is. So basically, DPI is just another sensitivity that you can customize for your mouse. And the best DPI, in my personal opinion, and the DPI that I use is 800 DPI. And the reason for this is because you don't want to be moving too fast, but you want to be moving quick enough. So 800 is right in the middle and perfect. So now getting into my settings. Now the display settings are pretty simple. You obviously want to be using full screen, resolution 1920 by 1080, and VSync off. Alright, now this setting is really important. So basically your frame rate all comes down to what your PC can handle without lagging. So for me, that would be 240 FPS, but customize it to your liking and how much your PC can handle. Performance mode will also help your game run so much smoother so that you can turn your frame rate up, so make sure that's on. My graphics settings are pretty much default. My brightness is 115 and I don't use colorblind mode, but one thing I did change in my settings is my view distance, and I have it set to far. Your matchmaking region should obviously be set to auto. So for my movement, I have toggle sprint on. I have my auto open door set to off because if I was fighting in the middle of a building, I don't want to accidentally open one of the doors and get shot. For my combat settings, my hold to swap pickup is off, my toggle targeting is off, and my mark danger when targeting is set on. So basically when I'm scoped in and I ping something, it automatically pings as a red ping to show there's an enemy over there. Auto pickup weapons is on, so if me and another person are battling for the same chest, I will get the weapon first and I will easily get to take him out. My preferred item slots are on, so basically when I pick up a certain gun, like a shotgun, it will automatically go to that slot I have it set to. So these are the slots that match my keybinds the best. For the first loadout spot, you should have an assault rifle. The second slot should be a shotgun. The third slot should be an SMG. And for the fourth and fifth slot, you can change it however you want. But for the fourth slot, I have utility, and for the fifth slot, I have a consumable item. Auto sort consumables to the right is on, so when I pick up minis, for example, it will automatically go to the right of my inventory. And these are my building settings. For keyboard, reset building choice doesn't really matter. Now this setting is really important and something people really don't notice. Disable pre-edit option. I think it is extremely smart and useful to have disable pre-edit option on, because if you were doing an edit course or a triple edit and you accidentally switch into the pre-edits, it will mess everything up. So have this turned on. Turbo buildings on. Auto confirm edits is set to both so that I don't have to confirm the edit on either editing or resetting it. It just does it on release. Alright, so now moving on to one of the most important parts of my settings, and that is my mouse sensitivity. And all of these sensitivities are perfectly set to match the 800 DPI that I use. So my X and Y sensitivities are both set to 7.9, and my targeting and scope sensitivities are both set to 32.7. For your building and editing sensitivities, just leave it as default because that's just going to be your X and Y sensitivities. And over time with many different sensitivities, I found that these are definitely the best ones that match 800 DPI and allow you to have amazing aim and great mechanics. Alright, now for the best keybinds that you can be using. So first off, my sprint is set on 2, and that is different from a lot of people. Most people have it set on shift, but the reason I have it set on 2 is because it's right above my W key and it's really easy to click with my index finger. My crouch and slide button is set to control, and I usually have my pinky on that or shift. Most of the people that try to switch to keyboard and mouse don't get overnight success, or they blame it on the keybinds. But you have to understand, you're not going to be comfortable at first, you just have to get used to the keybinds. It's like riding a bike for the first time. My use button is set to E, and that's used for opening chests or picking things up. And it's right next to my W key, so I click it with my pointer finger. So my pickaxe is set to T, and that's also really easy to click, and I also click that with my pointer finger. So now moving on to my weapon slots. My first weapon slot's always going to be an AR, and all I have to do to get to that is click down on my mouse button. My weapon slot 2 is my shotgun, and you're going to be using your shotgun the most out of everything, so that's why I made it the easiest to get to, and I set it to scroll wheel down. Weapon slot 3 is usually an SMG or a sniper, so I have it set to caps lock. Alright, so for weapon slot 4, I use X, and to press X, I move my pointer finger down from D to X. And in this slot, you put something that you don't use that much, but you still use. So like a sniper or some heals. And for weapon slot 5, that can be whatever you're comfortable with pressing. And for me, I have it set to C. Alright, so now moving on to the most important settings that you need to know. And that is my building settings. My wall keybind is pretty common across a lot of people's keybinds. And I have it set to Q. So I move my index finger off of A and I click Q. Now this is where the mouse I mentioned earlier in the video really matters. Because basically on the left side of my mouse, I have 2 side buttons that I click with my thumb. So my floor is set to my top side button and my ramp is set to my bottom side button. So all I have to do is click it with my thumb. And my cone is also really common with a lot of people. And I have it set to shift and I click that with my pinky. Now your traps keybind could be somewhere out of the way because you don't end up using traps that much. But mine is set to V. Now the editing bind could be the most important bind out of all of these. So mine is set to F, which is also really common because it is super easy to click. I also have scroll wheel reset on, so here's an example. If I edit, all I have to do is scroll up once on my mouse and the build will reset. And the rest of the binds are default. Besides my ping is G, and for my inventory I use tab. And this is some gameplay with these settings. If you guys did enjoy this video and you want to see new Fortnite Marvel videos in the future, let me know in the comments. And do me a favor and subscribe for more videos like this. And without further ado, Finerx out.
I can't trust no shot, she don't run up. Cut this Cartier like a stunner. Don't know, shut your house so I can